So the Lions made quite a few good moves, but the question is, what's next? And by what's next, I'm mainly referring to the draft, which is happening on April 27th. In some other Lions news, just about an hour ago, DJ Chark signed with the Panthers. He signed with the Panthers for a one-year deal, and I think a lot of us saw this was coming. Chark did have a good season last year, and he probably improved his worth a bit, but I think just the majority of people knew that the Lions probably weren't going to re-sign Chark, with JMO stepping up, and the Lions just made a ton of other moves. To re-sign Chark, I feel like it would have been too crazy. But the real question is, why was DJ Chark at Chuck E. Cheese? I didn't even know those were still around. But looking back at it, I think the biggest reason that told me that the Lions weren't going to re-sign Chark was that Brad Holmes wasn't re-signing people that the Lions didn't need. Look at Aurier, he let him walk, signed with the Giants. Look at Jamal Williams, perfect example. Let him walk, he goes and signs with someone else, signs with the Saints. And Jamal Williams was also, we could tell he was a little salty that he didn't get to re-sign with the Lions, and that's just the way Brad Holmes is doing things. If he doesn't think they 100% need you, there's no reason to spend money on you if he can get better somewhere else. And I don't think that Brad Holmes or anyone's being negative or like being like an asshole to any player leaving. I think they've showed that they'll make the right decision no matter what, even if it's not going to be easy. And rolling like that, it can make it tough for players. Now, this is the note that DJ Chark sent out on his Twitter. The past year has been incredible for me. Signing with Detroit and meeting the great people of that organization was huge for me. Playing with my brothers and going from 1-6 to 9-8 was amazing. I believe transparency and honesty is everything. With that being said, this chance in Carolina is second to none. Can't wait to see what this journey holds for me. Nice note, gonna miss him, but we got our new speed demon. We got JMO back, so. But good move on his part, I think, going to Carolina. They're gonna have a new quarterback with their full rebuild. They got rid of DJ Moore, so he'll probably be a wide receiver 1 out there. Now back to the question, what will the Lions do next? The thing is, nobody knows, and you can't know. It's impossible. First off, predicting what's gonna happen in the NFL regarding trades or who's gonna draft who, usually just that is pretty hard by itself. Sometimes there's maybe a draft or a trade that everyone kind of sees coming or everyone kind of knows about it, but besides that, I think it's nearly impossible to predict what's going to happen. And if you're talking about the Lions and Brad Holmes, it makes it even harder to predict what's going to happen, because with Brad Holmes, you never know what he's going to do. Did anyone predict him to pick up Sutton, Mosley, and Gardner Johnson this offseason? No. And that leads us to now where the Lions are in a position to draft a quarterback. It would make sense if they drafted a quarterback. They already went out and got their defensive talent in free agency, and it's confirmed defensive talent. With experience, they've played for multiple years, they're looking good. I like that move, going out and getting your defense in free agency rather than taking a risk on a draft pick. Looking at the draft order, if the Lions were to trade up, they'd probably only be able to trade up with the Cardinals. We know that the Carolina Panthers are going to take a quarterback. I sure hope they take a quarterback. They traded up to the number 1 pick for one. The Texans going to take a quarterback, the Colts quarterback, and recent reports have come out that the Seahawks are looking at Anthony Richardson, and there's a high chance the Seahawks are going to take him. Now with all this information, looking at the first 6 picks, it's looking like 4 of them are most likely going to be quarterbacks as of now. And if that happens, does that mean that the Lions are left with Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, whatever one Arizona doesn't take? I just pulled some random mock drafts that someone made 10 minutes ago off of Twitter. Will Anderson, our pick. That's crazy. Never in a million years would I have guessed that the Lions would have loaded up their defensive backs and been able to take Will Anderson with our 6th pick in the draft. What? And then with our 2nd pick, we got Kalijah at 18, and I've seen a lot of him. I still think that he's a great pick. And with that most recent mock, this is how that draft went or was automated, and the Seahawks didn't even take a quarterback. They took Tyree Wilson. In the next mock draft, the Lions get Jalen Carter, and then we go wide receiver. Now, I know that we didn't re-sign Chark, but does that mean that we should take a wide receiver in the 1st round? I honestly don't really know. My gut says no, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm not going to come in here and say we should 100% should not take a wide receiver in the 1st round, but I don't think we should. I feel like the Lions were pretty wide receiver heavy with Chark. I feel like they had a lot of wide receiver talent, and they didn't really need Chark, especially with JMO coming out. The Lions obviously have JMO, they have St. Brown, they have Calif Raymond, they have Josh Reynolds, and they just re-signed Tom Kennedy. I think he's on the practice squad, but still, he's solid. I feel like even without Chark, that's still some pretty good wide receiver depth. And if you look back at this mock draft, the Lions' 1st draft in this one, their 6th pick, Jalen Carter, I have seen, and I personally have a few questions about Jalen Carter. Would he be the best fit for the Lions? We know he can play a lot of ball, but everyone probably knows his legal situation by now. Somebody probably doesn't know the story, so I'll inform you if you don't. Georgia won the national championship, and then afterwards there was a national championship celebration or parade. There was some sort of celebration with the team, I think. And then after the celebration on the road, Jalen Carter was in his fast car, and then there was another fast car which was being driven by a trainer and had a backup player in the passenger seat and 2 other people in the back seats. And allegedly, I think it's proven that they street raced each other. Jalen Carter raced this other car full of people. Then tragically, the other car crashed into something, and the trainer and the backup player sadly passed away. Rest in peace. And then Jalen Carter fled the scene. At first, he told the cops he was miles away, and then somehow they knew he was close, and he admitted he was close, something like that. And then now he's on a year probation. So I mean, good for him that he didn't have to go to jail or anything. He's just on probation, so he'll be able to play this upcoming season and be drafted. There's no worry about him slipping in the draft because you won't be able to play. In the end, the whole situation's really sad. It's really sad that the trainer and the backup player died. The trainer was super intoxicated. Jalen Carter probably was intoxicated himself, but there's no proof of that, I don't think. But yeah, you had the story. That's why people have their questions about Jalen Carter's mental, maybe how he'll be in the locker room, because we know the Lions have a great locker room presence right now. Now, I've seen some vicious comments, vicious posts about Jalen Carter. My stance on it is that if Brad Holmes decides to take Jalen Carter, he's probably going to play great in Detroit, which is awesome. And if the Lions are going to draft him, that must mean that his mental's probably going to be good. He'll be a good presence in the locker room, and that's really all that matters. If the Lions decide to draft him, I trust him, but I personally would rather have Willie Anderson just because I think he's the better pick. But if Jalen Carter goes to the Lions, it's also a huge defense upgrade. And then for my opinion on the whole legal situation of Jalen Carter, maybe him as a person, I don't really feel like I want to talk about it at all or have anything to say on it, to be honest. But let me know what you think in the comments, because I'm interested to know what other people think. Now, looking at who the Lions still have yet to re-sign or not re-sign, Nate Sudfeld, the Lions re-signed him, which also makes me think that it's less likely the Lions take a quarterback in the draft, but I still think there's still a chance. DJ Chark going to the Panthers, Amani Awore, he's going to the Giants. That just leaves us running back Justin Jackson, linebacker Josh Woods, Trinity Benson, Bobby Price, Dan Skipper, and Tommy Kramer. If I were to pick 2 to bring back and re-sign, first I'd probably take Josh Woods. I liked Josh Woods last year. And if I were to bring another, I would probably say Justin Jackson, but I honestly don't think many more of these guys are going to be re-signed. Going back to some mock drafts, here's another one, but this one has Kalijah Kancey with the Lions' first pick. I don't really understand that because a lot of mock drafts he's available at the 18th pick. Maybe I've missed something and he's moving up in a lot of people's draft boards, or maybe this is them predicting he's going to move up in the draft, but I don't really understand it. This was also made by, or it was posted by Woodward Sports. Now, what's everyone's opinion on Woodward Sports? Do people hate him? Do people like him? Because I see clips of him all the time, but then I've also received comments where it's like, fuck those guys, I hate them or something. So I don't really know what's the general consensus of, do people like Woodward Sports or do people not like it? What's up with that? Here's another one. Panthers, CJ Stroud. Texans, Bryce Young. Titans, Anthony Richardson. What? I guess there's a trade with the Panthers and Titans. I guess I didn't see it when I first glanced over it. I guess I've just also never seen that trade, but I guess it could happen. Will Levis to the Colts. Will Anderson to the Seahawks, and the Lions get Jalen Carter. This one wasn't my favorite. Okay, now here's the last mock we'll be looking at today. Starts out with the Lions getting Jalen Carter, and then we take a cornerback. And the question I'm thinking of is, do the Lions still take a corner in the first round? I feel like the switch of focus, at least for me, has gone to who the Lions need to get with their 6th pick, Carter or Anderson. I want Anderson, but it's probably going to be a Carter. Either one is really good. But then going to the Lions' 18th pick, Witherspoon's going to be gone. Gonzalez probably going to be gone. There's not going to be either of those top 2 corners that we were all looking at a few weeks ago before we took Sutton, Mosley, and Gardner Johnson. But the Lions could still take Gonzalez or Witherspoon with their 6th pick in the draft if Anderson gets taken and they don't want Carter for some reason. And yes, if the Lions did take Christian Gonzalez with their 6th pick, they would have an elite secondary. But I feel like the whole point of the Lions taking Sutton and Mosley and Gardner Johnson was to secure talent in the defensive back positions. Instead of risking it all on a draft pick and the draft pick being a bust in the secondary, the Lions went out and got confirmed talent, experienced talent from the league, and I feel like that kind of makes me not want to take or believe the Lions are going to take a cornerback in the first round. I still think the Lions are going to stick to defense, but I'm looking at Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, and then maybe Kalijah Kancey. I think that'd be ideal. The Lions are bringing in a lot of answers to their problem, but they still need the answer for that run game, for the defensive line presence, for the pressure on the quarterback. All right, we got the Lions. Let's start the draft. Panthers, Bryce Young. Texans, CJ Stroud. Tyree Wilson, Will Levis, Jalen Carter, Will Anderson. That'd be a dream. Sadly, for the 17th pick, Pittsburgh took Kalijah Kancey, but I wouldn't even be mad if this happened because the Lions still got Will Anderson, but I don't think Jalen Carter's going to be going to Seattle because I think Anthony Richardson is going to be the one going to the Seahawks. Anyway, that is going to be the end of this video. If you enjoyed my content, I would really appreciate if you could like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. And once again, thanks for watching. Also, comment below all your opinions on everything I talked about.